Well, hello. Welcome everyone to Home Base episode 2. Here we have KatieNeipp, the one, the only, the art director of Purrnelopes. Would you mind going ahead and kind of explaining some of the, you know, processes that you go through, Katie, or, like some of the content that you're putting out for the Purrnelopes community? Kind of like what you're in charge of. And we'll
Yeah,
go into depth
absolutely.
later about, how it all came, how you got here.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess I'll start with kind of just like how I came about Prenelopes and how I came on the staff. I actually was fairly new to just like NFTs in general in the space, and actually crypto in general, just because I've only recently started doing crypto since NFTs. So
Hmm.
NFTs actually was kind of like my gateway crypto. Um,
Hmm.
But yeah, so I was over in the Crypto Dad's channel, because that was kind of my first project, and I'd made several friends just through the community there. And one of the girls that I got to chatting with quite a bit, she was like, "Hey, have you heard of Prenelopes? I know that you're like an illustrator and an animator, and they're actually looking for someone to do some explainer videos." And I was like, well, that's exactly what I do full time, like freelance. So, yeah, I definitely would be interested in knowing about, any opportunities. And so she got me connected with Carlini, and that's basically how I came to get to know like Carlini and Prenelopes. And it just started with that first the hoodie cat
Hmm.
explainer video. Um, and then kind of through that, Carlini was just like, hey, these explainer videos are, they're just a really great way to educate like the community. And I mean, personally, I agree too, just because like, uh, kind of jumping into NFTs, I was shocked that there weren't a lot of like animations
Hmm.
and really just graphics in general. It's like a lot of reading, um, people's roadmaps, just boring text in my opinion on like discords. And so yeah, I was like, yeah, I definitely would be interested in doing a lot more of these. And then it just kind of came about like, hey, as aside from just doing like these explainer videos, yeah, I actually came from a like over the past year I've been doing freelance,
Hmm.
but prior to that I was on a much larger creative, in-house creative team. And I just kind of, as the animation coordinator, just kind of really walked my projects through like beginning to end, overseeing like the artwork being produced by other artists and like coordinating. I was very used to coordinating with other creative teams and being a part of a much larger like content creation team. And so when it came about that Prenelopes had all of these other like smaller projects, needing done
Hmm.
more than like one individual could produce, I had mentioned to Carlini just kind of my history of being like in those types of project manager roles, and being able to uh, identify kind of like what needs to be done for like artistically for like a project, and how to see that from the moment the script is written to basically the end when you're doing like sound design and everything.
Hmm.
And so he just kind of put me in charge of, that's kind of how I became the art director. And so a part of my job is anytime there's like a creative need that our team personally just like can't do at the moment, or and we need to like branch out, it's my job to kind of hunt for that talent, and then really just make sure that Carlini's vision is cast to these other people and that they're able to kind of get those products that we need. So, I guess I shouldn't say too much about what's in the works, but secrets. But yeah, just like some of the physicals, and then yeah, with like additional educational videos and such like that. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, there's a couple of things coming off from what you were talking about. Specifically, I want to dive into your entry into the like NFT crypto world because it sounds a little bit different than what most people kind of go through, where it's kind of onboarding through crypto.
Yeah,
Depending on the year, it might have been like 2017, or it could be before that. They might have been enlightened or heard of Bitcoin or something back in the day. But it sounds like yours was a bit flipped, where it's you kind of got into crypto first or like primarily, and then you kind of are then just sucked up by the whole community and the whole crypto world. So
right.
so how did that start? Like,
Yeah.
was there someone
So
that onboarded you? Was there like a friend or something that's like your crypto wizard?
yes, yeah, actually. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jackson Dame. He actually works for Rainbow Wallet, and he does like a weekly. I think it's like a weekly like um, AMA where if you have any questions about NFTs or crypto, that kind of thing, because he works for the wallet, it's part of his job just to educate
Hmm.
um, newcomers and stuff like that, especially on safety.
Hmm.
So I actually know him in real life, and he and my husband used to work together, and he's a graphic designer. And so just over the past year, I know that he's been kind of hopping around and trying some new things. And then he started working at Rainbow Wallet,
Hmm.
and I kept seeing him post all of this stuff about NFTs. And as like an artist, I was like, okay, wait, what is this stuff that you're into? I don't understand it.
Hmm.
Um, Again, not being into crypto, I was very like hesitant to get involved just because I'm like, this sounds. I mean, it's like I know you're doing art, but I don't understand it because I don't understand crypto.
Hmm.
And but eventually he just kept posting about it enough that I was like, fine, I'm gonna. Can we talk? Can we like have
Hmm.
lunch? Can we do something? I need to understand what's going on in this whole weird NFT world. And yeah, so he kind of like introduced me to some things, and he gave me my first NFT. And just since then, I've definitely been hooked. So it's his fault.
Put all the blame on
Incredible.
him.
Yeah.
And so, what was your first reaction to? Because I think it's super interesting to have your perspective here, kind of coming into the whole crypto NFT scene. It sounded like 2021, or around whether it was 2020 or 2020 or 2021. It's like, what was your initial like gut reaction when you're seeing them post about like NFTs and crypto? Because I think there's this like stigma, or we kind of
Yeah.
get a bad rep where it's like either we're like spamming, or we're like, because we're passionate about it, we're a passionate community,
Yeah.
or we just like people kind of refuse to do what you did, which was take the time to be open-minded and kind of give them a listening ear and understand their perspective, or like kind of the community that they're invested in. So what was your like initial gut reaction? Were you opposed to like crypto and NFT at first, or what kind of made you think that this was something serious, or something that you should kind of give that
Yeah.
respect to research?
Yeah. So like first learning about like NFTs specifically, um, I feel like I didn't understand it at first because I was hearing all of these. You only really hear about like the crazy purchases. Like nobody's
Hmm.
talking about like the very moderate purchases that are being made. It's always like, oh, this you know JPEG that like anybody could make, or
Hmm.
NFT of like a very popular meme or
Hmm.
something silly is going for thousands or whatever. Um, and yeah, I was kind of opposed to it at first just because, like, as an artist, I spend a lot of time on my own craft.
Hmm.
And to hear about kind of like the more memey, trashier, like, you know, overnight success stories was a little disheartening because it's like, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong as an artist. Like, I spend so much time and effort into learning my craft, and yet, like, maybe what I should be doing is, like,
being a degenerate in
yeah, pretty
crypto.
much. And then I also didn't understand what the token aspect of it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what clicked for me is once once I really got into looking at some of the art, and I was like, okay, there are good, like this is quality digital art.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to like NFTs, there was no way for digital artists to have, like, the Mona Lisa,
Mm-hmm.
the one, like, you can print
Yeah.
that at high quality and still get the picture. But that there's only one that's worth as much as it is because it's the first, it's
Mm-hmm.
the original. But digital art's not like that. And so realizing, like, oh, this is a way for a digital artist to kind of have that original, it did click a little bit more. And so that was kind of like the moment I started opening my mind to it a little bit and investigating. And then really it wasn't until getting into like crypto dads specifically and understanding the community aspect, that I understood it as not only like, I mean, because some of it is art, and some of it is, I would say, I would not like really qualify it so much as art, just because it's like, they almost work more like social keys.
Okay.
And so, like, when I'm explaining it to my parents, I'm like, okay, as an example, we live at a time where, like, everything you need to know can be pretty much found on the internet. If you need to learn how to do a skill, you can just go on the internet. I mean, I taught so much of myself about like how to animate and all of that through YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And, but people still pay for schools. And why do they pay for that? Well, that it's a social key. They're paying to be a part of a community,
Mm-hmm.
to have access to opportunities through a very particular network. And when I started thinking of it, like, when you put it into that perspective, it does feel cheaper. I mean, it's cheaper than a college degree, So it's like, in the same way, there are just certain things that you have to pay to have access to, like a social network, because that brings opportunities. Just like a college degree, yeah, I definitely saw, or like understood NFTs being able to function in a similar way.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, like, just understanding that they can have utility. I had no idea when you hear about NFTs. I think, for the first time, you can't imagine the amount of utility. Because again, the ones that are being talked about they're just like the JPEG. They really, like, in the news, and when people report on it, they really, like, really drill in. It's just a JPEG,
Yeah.
and
Right
it's like,
click, save
oh,
as.
but
Yeah.
it's not. It's really not. You can do so much more with it. I mean, we bought into broadcasters, and just last week we saw this like really cool update on like how it was a JPEG. It's like a PFP JPEG, and now they have like these really cool looking 3D characters,
Mm-hmm.
and this whole, like, I mean, it reminded me of Fortnite a bit. Like, I mean, that's the quality, and just being able to run around in these like online environments. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, you raised a couple of really good points there about the whole, I guess, like how early we are and how quickly NFTs have evolved, and like the community and the markets have like shifted, because there is that aspect, because, well, there's so many aspects to it, but one of them is, that you raised, is art, right? So just thinking of NFTs as art already, it improves digital art immensely. Just putting it on a blockchain and kind of having, like one on like the artist side, right?
Right.
for commissions, or like when items are like resold, they can get kickbacks that way. It gives their product that they're putting out, you know, I don't know, more life. There's some long tail to it where it's, if you sell um something for like, just using round numbers here, 100 ETH, right? And they take a 5% cut. That's 5 ETH. A year from now, let's say it sells for 120, right? And then you're going to take 5%, and it's just going to compound for that artist, and it provides more incentive,
Oh,
moving
for
away from a
sure.
lot of, this, Web 2 world where they're kind of, being screwed over, whether it's, in music, where they don't even own the rights to their music, or
Yeah.
in terms of like the artist, where it's, maybe the first sale, or is like the only time that they're getting paid, if anything. And it's, helping the artist, and providing a new avenue, a new outlet for them. That's like one of them. And you also touched on this other piece, that NFTs kind of provide, in terms of like the community and this like social key, where it's, when you see someone with like a crypto punk as their profile picture on Twitter, you kind of have this like respect for them. You kind of understand, like, maybe how early they got in, or like their understanding of the community and the technology, and kind of where we're at, where we're gonna go. And it's, um,
Yeah.
it kind of is a way to, um, get in, like you said, in universities and stuff. It's almost like putting yourself in an alumni group,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it kind of helps
exactly.
you like network. It kind of gives you this like reputation. It helps you, just meet new people within the community. And then you also touched on another good part, which was then NFTs evolving and going past that, because um, art is cool, the community is cool, but if there's no purpose, if there's no utility for like the item, then, you know how long are they going to last? And so this whole idea of, right now, like the metaverse and gaming is blowing up, and how companies are going to move into, the metaverse is huge. There's Adidas, making an entry, specifically with like G Money and a few others. And then, there's, some people from like the Web 2 world, or, like making an entry with, like I see Snacks here in the crowd with Stoner Cats, kind of making their own, avenue there for, like, not only can NFTs, be, like art or this social key, but they can also, you can have TV shows, or, this production team they're developing for you, whether it's like games, or, TV shows, or I think music will be big in the future.
Oh yeah, I've heard just I've seen a couple of like music projects, and to me, yeah, music just makes the most sense right now. I'm just like, I mean, the
Mhm.
that's like a I mean at being in the animation world and kind of the art world, like I you do hear of like other, I guess, artistic spheres, and the one being the music industry just sounds like a nightmare to work in. So it's like it sounds like I wouldn't want to be a musician if if it was like that. And so knowing that they have this potential alternative route to success, like,
Mhm.
yeah, I had told a buddy of mine who was kind of like, he's in a band and everything, and I said, hey, like, this is something, like, I
Mhm.
definitely would encourage you to check it out as like an alternative route to success, like in the music sphere, for
Mhm.
sure.
Definitely, I think that's not going to be like what's next. Like, I'm not going to try to time the market, but
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that music is going to play a bigger role in the future. That's just my guess, because of how, not little it's being used. Like I just, am a big fan of a lot of music, right? So like I always like listen to it while I'm working, or, working out, or, on the bus or something, if I'm not listening to an audiobook. And it's like, I haven't really seen, um, a whole lot of, music as an art online. I think Snoop Dogg kind of had this like one of One Piece or something like that recently. I didn't look into it too in depthly, but I think he had like some music on there. So I think there's going to be definitely some room to grow there.
Oh, I completely agree. Sorry, I've been kind of just here in the background.
Yeah, you're all good.
Alamo, there's one thing that you said. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
too
I can
loud.
hear you.
One of the things that you said that I thought was like just really, really insightful, which is, when we see somebody on Twitter with an ape or with a punk, um, and we kind of see them as being like, hey, this person got in early, this person is aware of NFTs, this person is maybe somebody I should look to for advice. Like that in essence is a way of social proofing ourselves.
Hmm.
It's in a way we kind of look to them as like being like the elders of the community, and I think that's something. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. No,
maybe
exactly.
that has like ups and downs to it, of course, but like I think it's you know I think when it comes down to it is that NFTs as a concept have this almost transformative nature.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think like there's more power to the artists. I think that's one of the great things is with with like decentralizing the marketplace as it were, but also kind of keeping that provenance and history. Artists are able to still have you know be able to still be recognized as being the original creator of a certain item without it being having to be put in question.
Exactly. I think that saves a lot of time because it's you kind of maybe in the like IRL it's you see someone maybe they have like jewelry on or they have like a nice watch or they have like a nice suit on you're like okay maybe this guy like or maybe they have a nice car or something. There's some social signals there, but how do you do that in the crypto world or the metaverse or online? It's probably going to be something more similar to like when you're like playing World of Warcraft. Maybe they have some exclusive skin or it's or in Fortnite or something. I think it's a little bit different than the real world, but it's like like you had mentioned, it's kind of this like social cue that you see when they have their profile picture as a punk.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think of it like, have you ever played Diablo 2?
I have not. Katie, have
Okay,
you?
okay. Katie?
I played Diablo 3, but
Okay,
not 2.
that's good enough. I think it's, if you've played any of them, it's all good. I think, that was kind of my early foray into gaming.
Hmm.
But, one of the things is that that if you're going up against somebody that has like a specific item, like a Mage Fist uh,
Yeah.
or like Wind Force, you knew like this is a person who's playing the game for a long time.
Hmm.
This is a person who's knowledgeable over like what are the things that work in this space, and that in turn kind of gives you the idea like, oh, this is a person that maybe I shouldn't fight against or maybe I should team up with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, versus where I think now like IRL, it's really easy for us to kind of see someone say who's driving, let's say like a Maserati or is dressed really well, and maybe the impression that we get from that is that okay, this is a person of means and influence and wealth, but at the there's no way for us to know on the back end whether or not that's true.
Hmm.
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
when like when we play games, there's like unless that person bought it from somebody or traded it, they were still able to get it. But IRL, it's so difficult to see what the reality is almost in a way.
Hmm.
Whereas like with NFTs, there's a clear progression in terms of what has been done and what hasn't been done, just because we rely on that back end of the blockchain.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is really nice to be able to like look back and kind of I guess, see the ledger, see the blockchain, and really know the history. Because, like you said, and I think this is going to be true as people start to, there's more like wider adoption, is that as of right now, you do have the ability to kind of purchase your title. Like you could, if you had enough money, you could jump into the space, not know anything, but know like, well, I got the money, I can buy a punk, or I can buy a Bored Ape, or whatever, and people will automatically almost respect you and see you as this like, like OG, but like really go to the blockchain, check it out, see that they don't have like a history here, but that they were able to just like show up, kind of purchase this recognition right off the bat. So it's like, I think the point there being like anyone in real life, online, whatever, everyone has the ability to kind of like purchase their mask or put up a front. But yeah, there is a little bit of like a benefit or edge of the blockchain to, like, if you do just a little bit of due diligence, you can kind of, I guess, discover maybe more of the truth of the situation, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. But I wanted to shift back to your art that you're putting into this community. It's like how do you effectively establish like the message in in your work? How do you go about the process of delivering this, we're talking about how a punk as a profile picture kind of relays this message of like respect and or not respect, but maybe knowledge within the community. But how do you go ahead and do that as an artist yourself and connect with the people in the community?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been a little bit different just as far as like, Alamo, you've been here, so like you coming on to staff looks a little bit different just because you were kind of raised up out of the community and then kind of put into like a staff position, whereas me,
What?
What?
No, what? This is news to me.
Oh, dang it.
I'm kidding. Keep going, Katie.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I'm pretty sure Carlini said this publicly. Oh my gosh, you baby panic. I'm not a good secret keeper. I thought I pulled a Tom Holland there. Okay.
Yeah. Quickly hit that server mute. Go ahead.
But yeah, just kind of like, for me, I really tried to be more present and start chatting a lot more in the community to kind of like just get to know people and feel like, I'm not so, I guess, divorced from the community, even though I'm speaking to them, like getting to know your audience, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, and it's a little bit different because it's not so much, it's not about me and my voice. It really is like, this is Carlini's. Charlie has done some amazing work. And so it's really about me being an advocate for the people who, they've already put in the work. This is their thing. And so I'm just here to kind of like be like a megaphone and just help, cast it louder and broader, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's how I see myself.
No, I think that's a great point, because that's something that we want to do on Homebase. We want to give people a platform to kind of express themselves, kind of, because I feel like sometimes it can be a bit maybe like one way where you kind of only hear the like maybe the team or like the speakers kind of like talk about or like off or on their scripts and stuff. It's like there's a whole different person behind the NFTs, behind the team, behind this whole community. There's individuals that make it up, and so we definitely want to give people the opportunity to learn about one another, maybe in a different format than like just text in like the lobby room or something, the lobby bar. And
Yeah.
so hopefully this helps a bit. That's our whole goal here. I get to know you better. I get to know the whole community better as a whole, and kind of grow stronger. And so that's definitely really good to know.
And I think, if I can cut in for a second, I think, Katie, like one of the great things that I've noticed kind of just with that first video, that introduction video was like huge. Like I've never seen anything of that production, of that value, introducing, Purrnelopes to the community. I think that was a killer. It was just a great, I don't know if I'm trying to find synonyms for it, and I feel like I'm failing right now. So I apologize. I don't have my thesaurus in front of me.
Definitely. I think we take it. Go for it.
Yeah. You go for it.
I think we definitely take it for granted, because I think your ability to take this message, this script, animate it, deliver it, takes, this text that's either on the script or, is like something you could like read in some like random announcement or Medium article, and it kind of brings it to this whole nother level where it's, this media consumption where, we have these like short, explainer videos. We also have like the weekly recaps. Your ability to kind of compress all of this like information down into this like 2-minute video, 3-minute video, I think is incredibly useful. It saves so much time. You don't really have to go about like listening to a 2-hour long podcast or an hour long podcast. Like hoping you'll like get some alpha. It's your ability to recap, summarize, and kind of like spoon feed it to us in like a 2-minute video is really good.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, like, I just, aside from, Carlini kind of gives me the script, and then it's my job to kind of like, obviously, get to the point of what he's trying to say. But I also really enjoy just making them fun and kind of like having these silly moments, because I don't know, like, I like watching fun videos. I'm more likely to remember and stay paid attention to like an educational video if there are jokes and stuff like that all throughout. And then as far as like the weekly updates go, I like volunteered to do that. We were looking for a videographer, and it's my friend Josh actually is the videographer, and he edits it. But he doesn't like being on camera. And so I was like, well, I'll be the person on camera. I'll volunteer. I'll do it. Me and Josh actually used to work together on the same creative team, and I used to help out with him on set all the time. But for me, what I noticed jumping into the NFT space is that a lot of people like to be anonymous, and they like to be represented by their profile picture. And obviously, like, I have my Purrnelopes because, I want to represent my community, but I also want people to feel, I think for me, it was important to be on camera because I wanted people in the Purrnelopes community to feel like they could really know someone on the Purrnelopes team. And so it's like, I know how attached I get to the YouTubers that I watch. And it's like, I watch them every day or whatever. And it's like, seeing their face, seeing their personality. It's like, man, I could be friends with that person. And so it's like, I wanted Purrnelopes kind of to have this, this part of a NFT community that I hadn't really seen in a lot of other places, and that's a real face and a real person, to feel like you could see someone on screen and be like, oh, I know Katie, like she's not just a
a cat,
like a cat, a fake name and a fake cat, or whatever, but like to really feel like you could get to know me and therefore also get to know Purrnelopes, I guess.
I think like I've seen a couple of the things that you've done, like not only the on-screen stuff, but I think doing like the cooking activity. I think these are all, I think, really great qualities that make, I would say differentiate Purrnelopes from other projects in that it's so personable. There's, that point of connection. And I think that's like, I think that's just been a really admirable quality throughout like the entire process.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's like it's important to me to feel so we're here trying to establish a community. And, I feel like a part of the community is feeling like people are seen and they're heard. And, I don't know what everyone's personal life is like, but I hope that like when they jump in here, like because they've seen my face, they feel like the freedom to reach out and just like talk to me because they've seen me and they wouldn't mind chatting with me or whatever because I guess I just want to make myself available
Mhm.
to our community and like serve them in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, of course, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like human element that you bring to it, both in the like the like weekly recaps and um like Civ said the pie baking and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
you're able to like humanize it and kind of bring it to I don't know. I think your connection to YouTube was a really good one because I too have gotten like personally like attached to some people and you kind of see them grow and their community grow throughout like the years. And I think it's important for us to have that. And it wasn't really anything I thought of immediately, right? Like how
Yeah.
important it is to have that, like face or that human kind of like connection. But I think you do have a good point where you're, not afraid to go stand up in front of the camera and, go ahead and record and add your mini meows and like your little jokes and the bloopers and stuff. I think that helps a lot because like you said a lot of people in this scene uh, kind of like being anonymous. Nothing wrong with that, of course, but um, kind of the having some contrast to that, a foil, it's refreshing.
Yeah. I, following on that, I think just the social interaction or the human interaction, right? It imbues a sense of authenticity, which I think in this space is so hard to find because I think there is a lot of cloistering. There's a lot of privacy, which is very much I think when the space initially came to be, it was very important to have that as a quality. But as these are projects that involve people, I think having that level of authenticity is a great way of building connection in this
Yeah.
very new and transformative space.
Mhm.
Yeah. And like on the reverse side, you have the people who are making the purchases. And I understand, being anonymous for, particular reasons or whatever, but it's like, here I am, like I'm on staff for this NFT. And so I'm asking you to trust me. Like
Mhm.
when you buy a Penelope, like, Carlini, the team, Purrnelopes is asking you to trust them into, purchasing into the value of this community.
Mhm.
And so I think being in that particular position, like coming out and just being like honest, like this is who I am, like, I want people to feel I guess that they
Mhm.
can trust and that they can trust like the community and that this is something different to be a part of.
Mhm. Now, I have a question that might be a bit personal, but it's one I think is important to cover because we see it so often in YouTube and in so many artists is burnout and um, maybe this lack of work-life balance where it's if you are going and I think it's hard on Discord, especially if you're working at home on Discord, being able to, take some time off. Because for me, it's super easy just to have it open on one screen all day long, right? I get a
Oh,
notification
absolutely.
on my phone, something like that. So, how How have you been able to kind of balance that um, in your life?
Yeah, I mean, well, to be honest, like switching, so I was not on social media prior to NFTs, so I'm very new to social media, pretty much. And there has been a lot of adjusting where, you know, maybe some of my habits and behaviors prior to NFTs kept my life a little bit more balanced. And I have seen, jumping in and trying to kind of catch up there. I do feel like a little bit of a pressure that I'm behind. And so there's a lot of like striving to, oh, well, I can't step away. I got to educate, or, especially with how fast the community
Mm-hmm.
evolves. And we were talking about trends the other day, like how quickly they evolve. But I think, for me, it's just about emotionally kind of releasing some of that a bit,
Mm-hmm.
like letting there's always going to be opportunities for like there's always other projects, and there's always going to be other doors and other opportunities. And so like I think for me it's about emotionally checking myself and being like, hey, like you feel this pressure, like you're going to fall behind, but in reality you're not. Like that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're here, you're doing the best that you can. And I think that's a big deal, is like, one, just being very happy with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and not feeling that pressure of like, I think it comes down to, and like this is, we're talking about NFTs, but this is really can be applied to just about anything. And that's just like when you start comparing yourself to others,
Mm-hmm.
you feel this need to strive and compete and catch up, and because of this comparison. And so I think again, just like being happy with, yourself and what you've been given, being very grateful, it makes it a lot easier to not, I guess, fall into the FOMO, and kind of feel the freedom, like that you can disconnect. Like it's okay. Like the world's gonna move on. You're not gonna be left behind. It's, if you are, it's probably an okay thing. And being able to just like step away. And then with that, like we were talking about, like, I just as far as like even being able to do the podcast today, somewhat of an exception, just because like Sundays are like, this is the day that I, practice my Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
I just disconnect. I try to do very little on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and definitely, like, as far as trying to do things that like work,
Mm-hmm.
just having like a day of rest, stepping away from the screens, making sure that this day is a day that I give to like my friends and my family, um, that are physically present with me, and making sure that I'm, spending time and investing in those relationships as well. Because I think it can be very, I've caught myself recently, being in the space where it's like I'm out to dinner, or I'm with physical like friends
Mm-hmm.
in the physical world, and it's like, oh, but somebody messaged me on Discord, and oh, it's my friend on Discord, and it's like, hold up, like I'm doing a disservice to the person I'm currently with, because the internet has access to me always.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be the one willing to put up that barrier and be like, even though you're my friend on Discord, like just in the same way
Yeah.
my real, like my friends in real life have to physically come visit me, I have to create that barrier of kind of a simulus, like simulating that
Mm-hmm.
limited access to myself
Mm-hmm.
and to those friends, if that makes sense.
It's a perfect sense. I guess
Yeah.
the question I have is like, when, especially as an artist, especially as a human, as an individual, like, having those boundaries is really important. What is it, if you're willing to say, and you could be, as simple as possible, what do you do to kind of give yourself energy? Like, what helps kind of recharge Katie? Or, in the field we would say, like, What helps you recharge your spoons or your cup?
So like just a little bit about myself is like uh that I really have I guess practiced like my faith and everything. And so like for me, I really enjoy just like even meditating can be very beneficial. It's like when you just giving your moment like your mind a moment to not have to process anything, you know, and
Mhm.
just being so that can be really good. I love just being like my husband. He actually works from home, and even though we spend basically all day in the same office, you know, I think it's important for us to kind of just like draw away and kind of we have like we just finished building a fire pit, and so you know, being able to interact and do things that are not related to the screen,
Mhm.
like if we can having like good conversation. Over like a meal as opposed to doing something like watching a movie together because
Mhm.
we love movies and we love playing video games, but sometimes making sure that we interact in a way that we're still getting to know each other, so being sure to have like conversations about what we like, what we're passionate about, different things like that.
+1 on the video game part. That's
Yeah,
totally do that all the time.
And I think you had a
yeah,
really good point there, and it was something that I didn't know until I just like did it on accident and was like, you know, I should keep doing this. Where it's, you know, forcing yourself to not, you know, reach for your phone, or you know, for me, so you're on Sunday, but for me it's Friday and Juma prayer. It's, you know, having this, you know, 2 hour period where, you know, I'm just there with my dad. We're talking. We're you know on the road that to our mosque. You know,
yeah,
just kind of talking and not really like being on my phone, kind of being present, you know, and then while I'm there, you know, kind of using it as like a way to like meditate or have this, you know, just time to be able to recharge. You know, and it
yeah,
might not, you know, always be
wow,
effective, you know, the amount that's recharged, but giving myself the ability to, because I think like you said, when you're out with friends or something, it's super easy if, you know, the conversation is dead, or you know, maybe if you know, you're just like so used to like being around your friends, it's you kind of take it for granted and you kind of like reach for your phone or hop on Twitter and you're you know, there's so much going on Twitter, you know, it's probably like, you know, some, you know, new project has come out already, you know, rug pulled and, you know, launched their V2 or something like within this like 1 hour period, and you're like, how did I miss all of that? And it's you know, I think important to kind of block out this time frame. And for me like, too, it's always been like a either that like couple hour period on Friday to kind of remove myself from like work and anything work related, or even, you know, like on Sunday just being able to, you know, sit down, be present, and kind of like watch a football game or something.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
How hard was it for you to kind of take that jump at first and kind of be in front of the screen, or be in front of the camera and put yourself on screen? Was that difficult at all for you to kind of take that on? Because it can be intimidating at times.
No, I mean, so the job that I had before this, I was full time for a church, and I'd been doing that for a little over 6 years. And a part of my job in like the content creation portion was being able to do the voiceovers, you know, being on camera if they needed it. But I also used to, so how our I guess teaching worked is like we had like like I specifically was on the children's team,
Mhm.
and on Sundays the kids they are given a like a live action production where a lot like our my animations would play alongside live actors, and there were times where like I would need to act or basically like be the host of these sessions with these kids. And I mean, like one session alone may have 100 or plus kids inside of it. We made our own content, and it was because we had such a large church. We have it about I think 30,000 on average over multiple campuses and such. But so we had a very large children's program, and just being kind of used to getting up on stage, acting or hosting or whatever, doing these teaching to the children, and then also just being comfortable kind of on camera from my past job. It if anything, maybe it was a little nervous on having to talk about NFT stuff that very first time. But now it just, it feels very comfortable for me. Definitely very familiar. And I think for me, it's just about trying to relax and just be myself, you know?
Definitely. I think it is important, to kind of have that, like, take that like first jump, because I'm sure there's like some anxiety, kind of, you're new into NFTs, and you don't want to like say the wrong thing or kind of discredit, and it's like so many things kind of go into it, and I think you've done an amazing job on that end. I don't think you've definitely paid it enough respect, or given it enough respect that it deserves, and you've definitely put really high quality work, or into the videos that you're making. And I think, just going back to the bloopers, I just love that human aspect that you kind of bring to it. So
Agreed.
Yeah, I suggested us do some bloopers just because I felt like, okay, here I am saying all this NFT stuff, and like some of it I know, some of it I don't, but ultimately, like, I'm having to be a little bit more business about it. And so I told Josh, I was like, hey, I think maybe people would be able to see more of my awkward personality if just put the bloopers up. I don't care if it's embarrassing, it's not a big deal. That's just who I am. So I'd rather them kind of get this more authentic me.
mhm.
Completely. I think we're coming up almost on the end of the podcast, but before we end it, I wanted to just run a lightning round for Alamo here, seeing as he
Okay.
is the what is the role that you currently have now?
So I will be coming in as a project manager into PCC. I think there's a few different areas I'm going to be helping out in, kind of wherever I can for now. As I transition, I'll be at my current company for about 2 weeks, and then move to part time, and then you know eventually in January I'll be just 100% PCC. And so, working on the next companion, working on a few projects, kind of helping brainstorm, kind of bring some structure. Anywhere I can help, I'll help, because I think this community is pretty awesome so far, and we've only been in it since, what was it, like August or something was when it sold out. And so, we're still very young. I think it's so much growth is going to happen, and I think you know if someone has to build it, I'll I'll be a part of. I'd like to be a part of that.
That sounds good. What do you so I think you mentioned before what kind of helps fill your cup. I know that I mentioned video games a little bit. Is there any video games or anything like that you have your eye on that you
Jesus, I feel like a lot of the games that I was like really good at were games that were like holes in my cup. Thinking of like Call of Duty or like Tarkov, where they just bring stress. But I think just I guess I can run into a few of them. So there's Halo coming out this month, and that's one I'm really excited for. Just to be able to play the Halo campaign. Halo multiplayer is already out, and so I would actually like to eventually, maybe later this month or this upcoming week, play some multiplayer with Civ, and maybe a few of you guys if you would like to download it. And so the campaign's coming up, just something I can sit back with my friends, kind of relax, enjoy, and not really have to stress over. Pokemon is a big one. I've really thought about the new Diamond and Pearl remakes, but I've just been a bit busy, so I haven't gotten to committing to a full playthrough. But even something like a community Nuzlocke, I think would be fun, which is like a challenge mode in Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. Well, whenever you want to help, finish the fight the fifth time, let me know. I'll be there.
Sweet. Yeah, that's very exciting. I think December 8th, everyone mark it on your calendars, set your alarms, stay up the how many 72 hours or so that we have left until it's out. Yeah, no, it's very exciting. And Katie, you're also invited if you play Halo. I'll be here, I'll be there, I'll be all around when Halo comes out. That's the next big game.
Unfortunately, I'm a PlayStation person.
Oh no! Okay. Well,
The combo breaker.
Yeah. Yikes! So this one is not going to get posted. All jokes, but
Cut for edit. Cut for edit. Cut for edit.
Yeah. So that's probably it for games right now. It's all soaked up by Halo.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we just finished playing through House of Ashes. That was like a good group game because our buddy he rents our downstairs, and so it was like me, my husband, our buddy, and his girlfriend. And I don't know if y'all played like the what is it, Manamadan series or Manamadian or
Men in Black.
Oh wait. No, it's but it's like a horror game.
Okay.
And so like they have like a whole series, and so each person picks a player, and then you go through and you do these stories, and based on your actions, like you live or die. And it's kind of this. It's very fun, and it's a really good like couch co-op kind of game. But yeah, so if that's your thing, that's been a good video game, but also like fill your cup kind of doesn't. I guess it's stressful if you're about to be murdered by one of the characters, but it's usually it's more fun to watch like your friends like running from the zombies or whatever. It's a lot of fun. Good movie night, basically. House of Ashes. There's like a whole series. There's Little Hope, which I think is one of them. Little Hope. And then, House of Ashes and Dawn of, let me just Google it. House of
Man of Medan. Little Hope.
The Dark Pictures trilogy or anthology. There's like a few of them, and they're all really fun to play through. They describe themselves not so much as a game, but I think it's an interactive film. Is how they describe themselves on the back of the like game or whatever. And I think that's really accurate because that's definitely what it feels like.
How many people can play at once?
I think there are like 5 or 6 characters, so you can play all of you get to choose the characters ahead of time, and basically you pass the controller around during that character's story or segment.
Gotcha. That's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we'll call it there. We're just over an hour. Thank you, Katie. We'll make sure to
thank you again.
Get all of your any socials that you want posted down below. Any links will be in the description to see some of Katie's works. And if you have any final words, go ahead.
Oh, just thanks for having me, and thanks for giving me the opportunity again, just to I guess let the community get to know me. So